Okay. So hey, NFE and FL Diver, thanks for the heads up. So I guess, it's been a couple of weeks without real technical issues. So there you have it. That was a big one. I was just starting off by saying that it's Lou Gehrig number of days until opening day. And finally, this is the last show before the show. And I was also mentioning that I have a special, not guest, because he is Uncle Tats. He
Good
belongs
morning.
everywhere. Hey Tats, how you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody in the chat. Hope everybody's ready. Yeah, it's opening day's right around the corner, and
Yep.
it's our
Hey,
holiday is near.
this many. Yeah, and Tats, you just missed probably my worst technical gab
I, s-
ever. Yeah. So everyone afterward is going to be seeing like my intro, like silent movie time. So the chat had my back, man. They said,
yeah.
"Is it muted?" So hopefully that'll be it. So anyway, I see, and Lori and Cold Italian Pizza. Hey, new to me. Thanks for being here, Cold Italian Pizza. I caught you on the guys show the other day in the chat though. Anyway, so Tats, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Nice relaxing Sunday. Just
Uh,
just chilling, doing nothing. I watched the game a little bit with a
yeah,
weird lineup, but it is what
real,
it
yeah,
is.
really weird
Trying
lineup
to make
because
sense. Yeah, trying
you
to make
said
sense of what are we going to be looking at as far as the lineup for opening day. I was hoping that today we start seeing more of a realistic style lineup. But I mean, there's a lot going on outside of the Yankees, as I'm sure we'll get into. So
yeah,
it's been a wild few days for the MLB.
it is, and with the 26 man, mostly. Well, I shouldn't say mostly. A lot of players are in Mexico. A lot of them are staying behind and not in the lineup. And everyone was freaking out about Soto not going to Mexico. And we're not seeing the usuals even on the lineup today here at home. So it is weird. But I guess this is like last look or one of the last looks at the non-roster invitees and seeing what's up with them. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting. Um, but before we hop in, let me do my trivia question of the week
Yep.
that I'm holding the fort for Spencer. And we are all continuing to wish Spencer well. So let me put that up right now. It's right here. And I think I'm continuing my little streak of trying to stay on timely theme. And a little bit self-interest because John Carlos Stanton, I have never wavered on my support for him. So this week, John Carlos Stanton decided to remind us all why he is a Yankee by hitting 3 home runs in one game. Who remains the only Yankee to hit 4 home runs in one game? And you have 4 choices there to ponder about. Put your answers in the chat. I'll reveal at the end of the show. Tats, any immediate guess?
The only I can think of for four home runs in a game.
In one game. Yep.
Ooh, and only one has done it. I see Gehrig. I would think it'd be when before the because Gehrig, yeah, that would make sense. My gut reaction before like really thinking about it was actually A-Rod.
Oh, okay. Well, not an option.
Mhm.
But yeah, and this question isn't so old that A-Rod would have been included if he was one of the possibilities.
Yeah.
So um okay, so I shall reveal. I'm seeing some answers in the chat that may or may not be on point. So okay, excellent. So yeah, so let's dive into a couple of the obvious things that we should be getting out of the way. So in terms of status of our injuries for our main guys, it's looking like Rizzo is it's pretty hopeful he'll be making opening day. So he's feeling good at after treatments and pretty hopeful that he'll be on opening day. And this is per Boone. Um, so he doesn't think it's going to be the case that he'll miss opening day. So there's hope there. because we have things to talk about about the infield all of a sudden. Between Rizzo and now DJ's another story because he's not coming along as quickly at all, and so there's like a question mark on his timetable. And so, like, the question becomes, with Peraza now being injured, um, what happens in the scenario where Rizzo isn't quite ready for opening day? We don't have DJ, we don't have Peraza. Are we really bringing Cabrera in for infield rather than having him available for outfield? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Cabrera's going to get the opening day nod at third just to get him in there. His last couple of games, he's kind of shown that he's kind of waking up a little bit, which is a good sign. But I think that you're going to see, and NFE and I are on the same page here. I think you're going to see Caleb Durbin as the you got to give Cabrera, after opening day, so Cabrera could go back to that utility role, and we will see. Um, we might also get a chance to see Jemai Jones also get a fair shot.
Yeah, and FJ, you're reading my mind because Kevin Smith has been looking pretty good, and we also have Vivas and Jeter Downs. So, what about them in the mix?
Jeter Downs, I think, is a guy that really can find a role somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be here though.
Mm,
Um, Kevin Smith, the bat's not there. I know Donald and I had that debate on last Sunday's show in the chat, but I really I think they're going to stick with Durbin.
okay, so Durbin and Cabrera are the possibilities.
Yeah,
My only, I mean, I think I've considered Cabrera on the bubble, for the majority of spring training, and it's only recently that we're seeing, an upswing, no pun intended, from him. His fielding's never the question, but his bat is heating up, so at least he'll be a known variable on opening day. But I think and Strike Zone saying about Vivas, by the way, that he's better off starting off in the minors. And hey, CWE, I forgot to mention you at the front. I saw you really early too this morning. So thanks for being here. So I guess we're pivoting between Cabrera and possibly Caleb then.
yeah, and
And
it's
Durbin, yeah.
I know Vivas is an option as well, but I agree. I don't think he has the with Diva. I don't think he has the arm for that side of the field. I think he suits better as at second base. Whereas his throw to second for a double play or just a first for the out won't be too much of an issue. And I think they're just going to leave him to minors, let him continue to work on some things, and we'll see him probably more of a major league role next season.
Okay, good. Yeah, so, the thought is to just hold on to him, keep having him work it out in the farm,
Yeah,
and we know we'll see him someday. Yeah, because what I'm expecting is some of these guys that we've been seeing and having an eye on aren't going to last and are going to be eventually, or maybe in the near future, traded off in a package at some point. So, Vivas is one that and Downs are two that I really hope that they hold on to.
yeah. Well, and to Strike Zone's comment here, I think this is the biggest question for opening day is first base because you're not sure if Rizzo is going to be in the lineup. Not that, and I don't think it's anything serious. You know, but I think at this point Rizzo is just being extra cautionary along with the Yankees. But you also don't have DJ, so that was your
Yep.
second your backup first baseman. So now what do you do?
Right.
So
That's what I said.
now first base becomes a huge hole for the opening series.
Yep. And so then what do we do? Maybe we bring up Ben Rice to play catcher. Right? Allegedly, is it akin to IKF pitching? I don't know, but he's down for both. Silence
Yeah,
from
and um, just to follow along with the chat, if you don't mind, for a little bit, because
yeah,
FL
do it.
Diver, right, with first base, he's saying Baseball America have predicted future first baseman to be Wells. The question is, have you ever played? Here's my problem with that. Okay, Wells is developing into such a solid catcher. I'm not moving him. Not in the least. Leave him where he is. Let him work with Trevino as the everyday catcher, and let's not screw him up because we need him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know what else I like about Wells, other than his mustache, is I noticed in today's lineup that he's actually the designated hitter. And so, I think I'm loving the fact that we have a all around catcher package here with him,
Mhm.
and I love that. I love knowing that we could have Wells in there when Stanton, for example, is out. Which, let's face it, I love him, but let's face it. So yeah, I think Wells. There was a time when I thought Wells before Trevino. Um, I think he's that level. And I saw Lori saying earlier, that Rortfett needs to go. Yeah, if any of our catchers need to go, it would be Rortfett. To me, there's no doubt about that. Um, and so Cabrera at first, I wouldn't do that. I'd much rather, take either Rice or, you know, why is Spencer Jones coming to me as a potential first baseman?
That that's another one. But I know they want to make players as versatile as possible because it gives the manager and the computer that makes up the lineup a lot more flexible. But with his speed, you don't want him standing idle, just standing on a base. Let him keep developing for the outfield. That's my take on it. I don't think he plays well at first. I don't, not that he can't play well at first base. I don't see him as a guy that would transition to first base very well. I think you're
Yeah,
taking away what when you take away somebody's strength, you can't expect them to thrive.
right, of
So
course.
just leave him where he. I there are only a handful of guys that I would say leave where they are. Wells is one of them. Jones is another. And I'm putting my. I really would like to see Volpe stay at short unless he forces the hand to do otherwise.
Right. Oh, for sure. To me,
Yeah.
he's cemented in his position. Um, I think he's earned it, and I think that there's absolutely no
Mhm.
concerns with him there. And so, yeah, and I agree with Jay. I think Wells and Rodon are a good pair. I think they have good communication going and a
Yep.
good, dynamic between the two of them. So, and I think I want to talk about Rodon next, but this thing all of a sudden in the infield, it's a cautionary tale, but it's a tale we know well. It's really not even cautionary. The
Like
depth
Beauty and the
we
Beast, it's a
have.
tale as old as time. The Yankee injuries going into the season.
Exactly, exactly. And we could never sit on the depth throne. We could ever. There's no complacency in baseball. And so here we are. And you're right about Rizzo. I'm going to manifest opening day, but I'm not ruling out that he's on a similar, similar position that DJ's in. Both of them with their histories and they're up there in, age compared to the others. I'm worried. I'm now officially worried about the infield.
Yep.
So and yeah, and everyone's agreeing about Jones, and I 100% right. That was me, tossing Jones into the mix was literally grabbing at straws, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, we need him to keep developing, and we're going to need him in the outfield sooner than later. And we should probably have a pool on when he's going to get called up during the season at this point. Um, all right. So what else we got here in the chat? Hmm. And Arias as the future shortstop. Are we already retiring Volpe?
Yep. Apparently. I mean, not
Oh,
that we could use a short. It's not like we need a third baseman to get tuned up. But let's, I just don't see why everybody, I let him, like I said with Rodon last year, let Volpe have his crappy season to start because he can only get better now. The batting average is going to go up. No, I know nobody's retiring Volpe. And if I don't understand after 1 year, we're just going to be like, all right, yeah, it's not working. You can't, because somebody else is in the pipeline. You never know. It's I'm tired of. Well, they're drafted to play this position, so they have to play it. We made that mistake bouncing around um, Torres, right? When we started to make that mistake and disaster of putting him at short. But what happens if you move? And I'm not. I don't want to say it into existence. If you
right,
move Volpe to second base to make room for Arias, and Volpe really struggles at second base, then what? What do the Yankees do with their golden boy?
right.
He's just another guy that the Yankees are just going to scream at Cashman. Why did you hold on to him? It's there's still so much upside with Volpe. That's why I'm saying unless Volpe forces your hand, you have to leave him at short. With Arias, let him start playing third base because we need third baseman.
And so the undercurrent here is that we're still fully expecting Glaber to be traded. If we're already
Well,
looking
I
at
don't know if he'll be
second
traded
at
because they're
second.
going to need that bad, but he's not going to be on. I say there's a 95% chance that he's not on the roster next year.
Okay, interesting. But you think they'll hold on to him and just put him down, and bring him up when they need him?
Who?
Torres.
No,
I
they're
know
gonna.
he's
Torres
insane.
is gonna. He's gonna be our second baseman.
Yeah, but
I don't. They're not gonna. They're just gonna leave him where he is. It's the
but
up and down would be in the lineup depending on the matchups. Who's in a slump, who's not. And
yeah,
I'm only saying 95 because if he has a bad year, he's going to become cheap for the Yankees to kind
yep,
of revitalize himself because he's already here. And he might be, if he has a slightly above average year, he might take that qualifying offer if the
okay.
Yankees offer it.
That's what I was trying to clarify in my head because, hey, Spencer, great to see you. Great to see you, friend. Um, so all right, so we're talking future. We're not talking this season. We're jumping ahead because all I'm seeing is Volpe to second, and then what happens to Glaber. So if we're talking in the future, is that
Mhm.
what I missed? We're jumping ahead.
That's that's what the narrative seems to
Okay.
be.
All right. All right. Good. And at least I know I'm coming back to the future. Got it. All right. So, but for now, Volpe deserves the shot to stay where he is. Let him
Mhm.
develop in the position, for crying out loud. And we did see some muscle added. He added some muscle, and from what I'm hearing from the guys in the booth, they're happy with some of the swing adjustments. He still has some more to make, but they think he's made some good advancements, and guess the proof will be in the pudding starting Thursday. But I think sometimes we don't give some guys enough of a shot, and I feel a little bit like Volpe's the guy that you need to give him that opportunity and some chances. So and then I guess the rest will play out. But the infield is going to be interesting. And I just first of all, good on Rizzo for flagging it himself.
Yep.
He learned, and he stepped up, and DJ was a little late on it, but we'll have to see what happens with both of them. And hey Donnie, good to see you. And if everyone else
Well,
that joined. Go
what
ahead.
was DJ late on?
Well, DJ didn't late on reporting it. and that like was talking about it, coming clean on it. We all
Okay.
saw the injury happen,
Yeah.
but in terms of really needing to step down and get it worked out, there was a bit of a beat. Whereas I feel like Rizzo, and he said, this is something that nags me every now and then, but and so I think last season he would have blown it off, but he came right out with it, and that's why I think he'll be back sooner because of that. And DJ, it's a new kind of injury too, and he has I think like foot injuries anyway. They have a history of them, so
Well, where he fouled the ball off his foot, because that's what the injury
yeah,
was.
right,
It was the same foot that he had the surgery on.
yeah, right,
So that's why I think it's taking a little longer for the bruising to go away. And it's not that I'm a doctor; it's just I'm just guessing.
right, yeah. So and Dottie's saying if Peraza stays healthy, um, he could go back to third. I
Yeah,
I don't.
I think we need to focus on this year, and see where people are going to really shine the brightest. And then we'll worry about next year. Next year, you know, it's too close to to opening day to start really thinking about the following season and just start really hyping yourself up for this year. And it's a couple weeks ago when everything was free agency and kind of gone stale. There was no trades really going on. It's fun when you're able to keep the content and the create the conversations going about the people that we're seeing in the minor leagues and the spring training games. But it's time to stop worrying about the maybes and of 2025. Let's focus on the maybes of 2024 because
Yes.
there are no absolutes when it comes to the Yankee lineups and positions because injuries come in an abundance.
Yeah, if we lead the league in anything, it's injuries, and that's not what you want.
No,
but but that's where we are, and where we have been for a few years now. And so we have 4 days to work something out for the opening day, and so I think the biggest question on the mind is the starters and the relievers. So let me start with Rodon. How's everyone settling with Rodon now? Where are you at today? Even if it's based off his last outing the other day.
no, I think he's ready to go. I think it's a shame that he's not pitching opening day. You know, yeah, and cold Italian pizza. Yeah, yeah, he didn't have the dominant spring, but he stayed healthy through spring. So let's take the W where we can,
Right.
and see how it translates to the regular season. Sometimes when you get these veteran guys, uh, they usually will not go full bore during the spring. They're working on their mechanics and trying to see which pitches are working. You know, adjusting grips on the ball. You know, so not
Yeah.
that we're all season fans. We all know how spring training works.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm not concerned about Rodon coming into the year. I think the fact that he made it through the spring healthy is a positive sign, and I'm going to ride that positivity until he shows me otherwise when the games matter.
Right. And FL Diver, you're completely fair what you're saying. I mean, he looks overall good, and yeah, there was that one
Yeah,
game that felt like last season. But yeah, he just didn't have the guys behind him or at the plate for him. So and just looking at the numbers, he's posting 2.9. So and I think um listening to the guys in the booth yesterday, I think it was yesterday, my days are blending. Um, that his fastball is looking great, and improvement on his curve and change. Cutter still needs a little bit of work, but in terms of a fuller package, he seems to be having it and working with it. So, um, and his attitude, well, he certainly took Joe Torre taking him out of the game well.
That was, you know what, that was such a fun story to
Priceless.
hear throughout all the, with all the negativity going on, and every, trying to make sense of some injuries and stuff like that. And it's like he was ready to start, yelling that he didn't want to come out. And when he saw it was Joe, he's like, all right, I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah, I think the real about him is that he's always going to be a bit petulant. He
Mhm.
hasn't lost that. He's not going to lose it. Because even when they took him out this past game, shot to the dugout was Blake and Booney in his face, and he's sitting there, and going like, oh, okay, at least it's not on the mound, but uh, so that's always going to happen. But good on him for doing what he needed to do over the winter. And yeah, I mean, being confident in somebody is a little bit relative right now.
Yeah.
But certainly, feeling good about him, and thank God it's the road dawn of today than what we had last year that we're left with. But the fifth starter is the big topic, right? And so, and I'm sharing here my whole notes here. So sorry, everybody, but so who are the fifth starters? I mean, the mix is large, right? And so, what are we looking at here between Beater, Warren, Heel? Warren isn't on the isn't on the 40 man, but his numbers, and he's talked about a lot on this show and on your show, but what are we thinking in terms of that fifth starter? Who's going to get the call there?
Oh, I think it's going to be Warren. And I don't, and it's not to say that I have no confidence in him, but he's, as much as he's being hyped up, he's still a question mark. He really is. He had, let him. I'll make my final decision. Like I'll have a better assessment. I don't want to say final decision. I'll have a better assessment of Warren if they name him the number fifth starter. That let him get a couple of starts under his belt and see how he adapts. So let's see if he could do like what Rodon did yesterday. He had a bad second inning and he came back and had an 8 pitch third. So he was able to kind of keep his pitch count down to get deeper into a game. And let's not look for our number five starter to have ace numbers. Keep your expectations on a realistic level. If he's able to pitch to a low 4 ERA, you take that win, you take that and you run with it because that means that he's getting, the bull. He's keeping the team in the game and handing it over to the bullpen with a possibility to win.
Yeah, and looking in the chat, Joe and others are saying that Heel should get it. And Heel did look pretty magnificent his last outing, but um, but Warren makes us nervous, made us nervous a few times. His um but his ERA is where where you were saying we would be acceptable. And if you yeah, so you think he's the guy over Beater? Um, yeah. And yeah, yeah, I mean heels, throw speed, pitching speed. Yeah, Bieber has it. Well, Bieber, I don't know how Bieber got into the conversation in the chat. Probably not about us. All right, so who would you be unhappy about seeing added to the fifth spot?
Would I be upset?
Like, who don't you want to see of the possibilities? of these prospects that we've been seeing. And um, and there's also Luke Weaver. I mean, is he just the
Yeah, it's
is he just the one because he's had the time up with us for a little bit last season?
yeah. There's nobody that I'm going. No, you know, no chance. What's no chance in hell. I don't have that one. I don't have that player. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all of okay. We have a multitude of options of what we could do with having a fifth starter. Is that a bullpen day because we'll have are your are you going to have bullpen guys that can give you multiple innings like a Weaver, like a Hamilton, Beater, Heel can give you multiple innings. So you just ride with a bullpen day, and give your big three or your big three a break. So there are so many, and I hate, and I'm not a fan of bullpen days, but this, it just might have to be until Cole gets back because I don't think they're going to go out. I think they should, but I don't think they're going to make a trade for a pitcher in the next couple of days.
I don't see it happening either. I think dynamics are at play with that too. So at least go with what at the season start, and then see how it rides. But um, and the other thing about Weaver that I'm wondering about is that he has the highest price tag on his head,
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder if the philosophy in the front office is, oh, we're paying him more than anybody else. Let's put him out there. I could see it happening just like for that reason. Numbers wise, he's really not standing out compared to the others we just talked about. So, but he does have there's something to be said about being up in the show, as short as it was. At least he's has experienced that. But um, and I saw early in the chat earlier, people are nervous about Nestor starting on opening day. Where are you sitting on that, Tats? I think I know.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. I really don't. If you go back to the year, there was when we were having an issue with the rotation. Nobody was staying healthy. Nobody was going deep into the games. But that's when Nasty Nestor was discovered because he was the one that was holding the fort. He was the one that was being talked about as like wow, if he keeps this up, he had the Cy Young locked in. Like he was insane of how well he pitched. So we know he has that stuff. It's but there's still two questions. I don't have them as concerns. I'm just questioning: is he healthy enough to maintain a season? And if the league truly caught up to him, how is he making the adjustments to fool them again? And obviously a third that you could throw in there is how much of the pitch clock is going to be an issue, and he's got it. They have to be careful not to use it as an excuse for him.
Yep, 100%. I'm with you on everything you just said. I think that he's still, to me, he didn't come back to camp fully ready. Rodon, it seemed like, seamlessly back in. Nestor, we know he was behind, but still by now, I would have expected he'd be back to what we would expect from him before the injury. So, and I hate to say that because I'm in his camp too, but wouldn't be my preference. I wish they would have just, reset the order of things, and at this point wouldn't have been saying this in October, but I'd really wish it was Rodon or even Stroman in Houston for opening day, but it's just not going to work out like that. So we'll just have to see. And I just also, in terms of the non-roster invitees and you know, I think that I'm really wondering who might who might break camp, that we haven't talked about so much. And so and then and particularly in the bullpen, I know everybody's been talking a lot about Birdie, maybe not so much about Santana, but
Santana's
do they?
gaining momentum in the chat, but
Okay.
in the conversation.
Uh-huh.
But Birdie's been a bright light,
Yeah.
and I like to say his name over and over again because every time I say his name, Rod does a dance. So
I gotta stick around to see that. So I gotta do a replay
I,
of that. I missed that. um, yeah, anything that makes Rob dance, hell, I'm for it. But um, so are we going to be, signing on some of these people we invited? And will Birdie be one of them, or Santana? And I'm just so focused on pitching right now, and others. Who do you think is under consideration, if anyone,
I
to be?
definitely Birdie. I think he's a lock for the bullpen. He's just been solid. Um, there's really like there's no. I don't know if I guess Durbin, but even
Mhm.
though he was through the minor leagues, I think he's really shown stuff this spring where it's like, okay, you could see why they wanted to hold on to him. So I'll use that as the invite and the prospect that really stood out.
Yeah. Yep, I'm good with that too. Because I think if it's going to be at the loss of people already on guys already on there that I think we need to hold on to. So yeah, and we have to Michael Caputo. By the way, hey Michael, good to see you. Michael's saying that the pitching we gotta do better. We're not going to win the World Series the way we're talking right now. And you're not going
Because
to win it with Juan
there's two
Soto.
comments that he has here, right? And I don't want to start singling out Caputo, even though he knows I like to kind of argue with him a lot. But he's like you're winning a World Series with Cole, Judge, and Soto. Yeah, we have that. So how are we not a World Series contending team? Okay, it's not like we lost Cole for to Tommy John where he's not coming back, right? But then it's almost like you contradict yourself because you're like prospects are not going to bring a championship to this team, but the dynasty was built around our prospects when they got their chance. With the core four and Bernie Williams. So it's almost like you're arguing with yourself. So read your last comment. All right, I'll scroll back up.
Here it is.
Warren, Hampton, Weaver, Hill are not going to help this team win a championship. We don't know yet. We really don't. That's what I'm saying. If Warren gets the number 5 spot in the rotation and he pitches to a low 4 where he's handing the ball to the bullpen in the 6th, 7th inning. Let's say 6th inning, right? Well, with 4 runs or less with this offense, you have to feel pretty confident that we're going to get wins out of those games.
Right. Right. And to Joan's point, we already have the tightest fist in the front office in the league. So, to talk about, a payroll that would get you, the dream team and in the field of dreams. um look, that's an expectation we don't even have to manage. We just know. So it's a dream to have, but you're gonna have to wake up eventually.
Yeah.
um and so that's where we're at. And to your so let I think in a similar vein, let's just let me toss today's Ross lineup for everybody. Because you were saying, and it's right, Tats, that this is a funky kind of lineup, right? So
No,
just even
hold
looking
on, and
here.
real quick, Caputo, we're not fighting, we're arguing. It's different. Arguing is fighting with love. So,
Yeah, oh, that's really nice, Caputo. No, nothing but love, nothing but love. And we're not fighting. Friends debate. You know,
yeah,
um, and that's all this is. And we learn from each other. And sometimes one of us has to say, okay, you know, I can't see your point. So it's all good. It's why we're here together talking.
yep.
Um, yeah. So of all the people we just talked about, and you see what I was meaning about Wells on DH today, um,
Hmm.
and why they're choosing Rortvet a catcher. But who on this list have we not talked about at all? And should be talking about. I think George Lombard should be in the conversation. I'm not saying for a start of the season, but I think he's had a good, he made good use of his invitation.
Yeah,
Um,
no, Lombard, yes. Lombard's made a solid case. I think he's still a year away, maybe
yep,
more. I'm not, another guy that I'm looking, once I saw the name, I'm like, oh, it's Luis Torrens. He's a guy that's been given a lot of opportunity this spring, and they've continued to give him chances. So maybe he's a guy that they really have a lot of confidence in. And so that's another name that might be one of those that we were talking about before that kind of, you know, came out of the shadows a little bit and surprised us.
right, right, exactly. Yeah, and Laura, you're right. I mean, he's young.
Mhm.
So we don't like that they hug their prospects, hug the death out of this kid. He's still a kid, and let's keep him. Um, yeah, talk about homegrown. If it's homegrown and we like the produce, then you got to keep feeding it. I look for good things from him. Talk to me about Jemai Jones and why I'm not feeling one way or another about him. I feel like I haven't had much of a sample size there.
Yeah, Jones. He's an on the fence type of guy. I think. Ooh, see, I don't. He's not a guy that just strikes his confidence. But I'd be willing to give him a shot only because we're at that point right now where unless there's going to be a miracle trade for an infielder in the next couple of days, I think he has to. I think he earned the right. I think he earned the right to be in the conversation.
Okay, that's fair. That's why I'm really looking forward to 1 o'clock. And then there's the third base, Josh Van Meter. Um, so if the timetable we were talking about earlier, Luis and Van Meter, either one of them could come into the mix.
Who's that? Peter?
Josh Van Meter at
Oh,
third today.
Van Meter. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm
I think you're
wondering
talking
if
about fielding.
no. With Torrens, who I have good thoughts about at first, and Van Meter. The two positions we started the show talking
Mhm.
about. I'm guessing that this is okay. Let's get that one last look while the grown-ups are away, and take an assessment here because we know where our short are for our season opening.
Yeah. I think we're flooding, like trying to, it's almost like we're trying to justify why certain people, why everybody should get a shot. Um, you can't play everybody, so Van Meter is not wasn't a guy that I'm like okay, because it's the outfield, and we're already covered.
Right,
It's the infield that we need to focus on. So no,
right,
I wouldn't even give Van Meter a look.
right.
That's just my take on it.
Okay. All right. You're not looking, I'm not looking, Tats.
Yep.
Done.
Yep.
I might like go get a snack when he's at the plate. So earlier, and I meant to address it. Joe, I think you had asked is if Judge is okay. Um
He's fine.
I completely think he's fine. I think what we saw was, I think everyone learned a big lesson last season about, hiding injuries and not getting like ahead of them when
Yeah,
they're starting
procrastinating on
to turn.
reporting.
Yeah, and I think Judge is going to be even more so because of Toegate, right? So hashtag Toegate, ladies and gentlemen, I called it. And that foot's never going to be quite the same. I know it wasn't the same injury he was feeling this time around, but Boone, he loves to give his players a nap. And I think it's warranted. And I don't think it's necessarily a cause for alarm. And he looked good the past two outings. So I think everything's fine with Judge. Not no don't you worry about it. Any last thoughts about prospects and signings and movings around, Tats, before I go to the closing stuff?
No, I think all the players that really are on the forefront, as far as on the prospect level and what we've seen, you know, I, I think we've covered all the bases on that one.
I have one last one, and that is,
Ruh-roh.
are we, huh?
I'm
What?
like, ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh. Is Holmes really our closer? Is that the sitch? Is that where we're gonna be?
See, and
And
there was my ruh-roh. I'm like, because I almost had a feeling this is where it was going, and I should have interrupted you just so I knew if I was right.
do you charge 18.99 a minute, psychic hotline?
No,
Um,
but you don't want to call me for advice. No.
I call you all the time for advice. What you talking
No.
about? Um,
No,
but or let me toss out there, and don't throw tomatoes at me. Why not heal? If we're not going to put him in the fifth spot, why not heal with that speed and his command? Why not heal?
I think because in the back of their minds, they want to keep him stretched out.
Okay.
He's going to be a long man because they don't want to put him into a one inning situation. Now, it would benefit him coming off the surgery because it would limit his innings. But I think they're going to manage it in a different way with him as like an occasional long man where he could either pitch one inning or if he's effective, they'll let him get that second inning of work in. I think that's where they want to keep him.
Yeah. And Jona's saying that she thinks he could be a one or two starter eventually, and I agree with that. I just want to capitalize, on what we get from him, and knowing that the bullpen still also needs some love. And I don't think I speak for the world, but I speak for a lot of us that Holmes just, he's one Holmes or another. And we don't need two homes. A lot of us like to have two homes. Perhaps I'd like one in Belize, but we need one homes. We need one homes. The
That was
good.
a cute joke. I like that.
Thank you. Sometimes I have a cute joke. But we need homes to just be, consistent, and that's
Mhm.
what has me nervous. What we're never gonna have Mo, but and so uh, I know I'm throwing some spaghetti on the wall with that, but it is something that I've been thinking about that I wanted to get out there. And the chat got really silent when I said it. So I think, this chat votes with their fingers. So I think I got my answer. Um, and from you as well. But it's a hanging question as far as I'm concerned. And hopefully Heel is up to the middle inning stretch, because yeah, I get it. He needs to stretch out, but um, then the reverse is, do you want him overtaxing and irritating something? It's like a catch 22 to me. But um, all right, so I'm gonna pivot, and this is the last show for Women's History Month, so I'm gonna give you the last Women's History highlight. So you might have heard the name Babe Zaharias, if you are just a sports historian at large. Her real name was Mildred Didrikson, and she was a multi-sport athlete, and so, but in terms of baseball, she's an around. She has she's around. She's a an all-around female athlete who pitches the first inning for the Philadelphia Athletics in a spring training exhibition game against the Brooklyn Dodgers. She gives up one walk but no hits. 2 days later, she pitches again, this time one inning for the St. Louis Cardinals against the Red Sox. Didrik is less successful the second time, giving up 4 hits and 3 runs. Bill Hallahan relieves her as she did not have a bat in either game. She also played several games for the House of David this season. This article's from 1934. I'm not sure what the House of David was, but she was the second female to play exhibitions with a major league team. Previously, Lizzie Murphy had played for the American League All-Star team in 1922. So, a woman in professional male baseball, in a exhibition sort of way, but back in 1934, before something like the All American Girls Baseball League, this is something that wouldn't have been even dreamed about. And by the way, her best accomplishment had nothing to do with baseball. She won gold medals in the Olympics. She won gold medals and a silver in track before turning to becoming an LPGA major champion. So that's the last highlight of women in baseball history. And I also just want to plug, speaking of baseball history, women in baseball, I have a special event coming up this Wednesday. I'm gonna put the link in the comments after the show. The International Women's Baseball Center. I'm having their CEO and president on to talk about. They're both historians. They're both professors of history at universities, and their specialty is women sports history. And so they're going to come on and talk about women's history in baseball, what's going on for them, for women now, and what the International Women's Baseball Center is doing for the future. So I think it's going to be a great conversation and hope to see you there. And now I'm going to make everyone dizzy. So close your eyes for a second. Whoop. Okay. So, I hope you're still listening, Spencer. Here was the question. John Carlos Stanton decided to remind us this week why he is a Yankee by hitting 3 home runs in one game. The question: who remains the only Yankee to hit 4 home runs in one game? And the choices were Lou Gehrig, Reggie Jackson, Babe Ruth, or Yogi Berra. And Tats, I believe your answer was Lou Gehrig.
Yeah,
And
I had Gary.
I believe that was pretty much the consensus in the
Yeah,
chat.
everybody was throwing Gary out
And
there.
yep, and I am going to reveal and let you all know that you were right.
Yep.
Lou Gehrig, and like Lori said, number 4 hit 4 home runs in one game. And
with 4 days left to opening day. This is
4 days.
perfect.
That's why I felt like, okay, I'm doing Spencer proud. It's on theme for this for this day. So there it is. And so that's it. I think that's it for this week. And Tats, hey, you came and hopped in, and really appreciate that you rode along with me today.
Yep,
And
I came, I talked, I made you laugh, I
yep,
conquered.
all the things you always do for us, Tats. And everyone in the chat, couldn't do it without you. And as always, you have a reserved seat right here on the upper deck every Sunday. Let's go, Yankees. Fight hard. Go say yours, Tats.
Oh, this is cool. All right, on an upper deck. And as I always like to say to close out the shows during the week, where you pinch out your pride and play hard.
Take care, everyone.